So hi and welcome to the Process podcast.
Hey y'all.
Here's Chizua Onua. That's how you say it, right?
No, it's Onwa, but it's cool.
Okay. I
Onwa, yeah.
I was scared of like butchering that. I was like, oh no, I don't know. But yeah, this is the second episode, and I was really interested in talking to you because of your whole music production endeavor that I've seen.
Yeah.
So for starters, talk to us about it. Like, what's going on? What's your mentality of it? How did it start?
Yeah. Okay, we'll start at the origin. So my name is Chizua. I'm from like the Chicago area, but I went to school, like college at Ohio State, and I majored in chemical engineering. And I majored in engineering just because like I knew it was a safe route. Like granted it was hard as hell, but I knew if I graduated with a degree, I would have a job. So I was like,
Yeah.
let me do chemical engineering. But like it really, the whole music production really started my senior year, round two, as I like to say, because I stayed for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in December of 2019 is when I really started producing. And prior to that, I was thinking about, hey, let me be a rapper because I really like certain type of music, but I don't have the stage presence to be a rapper. So I was like, you know what, the next best thing is like music production. So I just started like in December, like in my room, like this same room, just started watching YouTube tutorials on how to work it. And I was like, this is actually kind of hard and I don't have time for this. So I stopped. I did it for like a week in December and I stopped. But then sometime like around this time in February actually is when I started like watching tutorials again. I would just search up like how to make this type of beat and I would see tutorials of people doing it and I was like, okay, I can do this. So I started like practicing, and today is like the anniversary when I had my first beat. Like I made a beat, it was like a minute and 30 seconds. Like I actually listened to it today. It was so bad, but I was so proud of it at the time. I was like, this is something. And it's so funny because I actually like sent the beat to Rico Nasty's like email address thinking like, oh my gosh, this is gonna pop off. And it just never happened. But starting February and through the quarantine, like when the quarantine hit in March, that's when I really got to be like, okay, let me just start watching more videos and start making more beats and just trying to see what can happen. And ever since then, it's just been like, it's been fun. Like it's been so cool to just do this and see myself getting better every day.
Oh my God. Honestly, I feel quarantine did that to like all of us. Like, you know what? It's time you have a lot of time in your hands.
Exactly.
And it just puts you into like, you know what? It throws you into like the things that you wanted to do. And it's like, you know what? It's time for it. And
exactly.
But I'm really like, it's really funny. When I was in high school, I kind of had the same kind of same route. I wanted to be a DJ.
Oh,
I was one of those that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a DJ. I can try it out. I kind of practice and same mentality. I was like, you know what? What's the next best thing? It was music production.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I feel that in some way, if you like music, you go through the same route. Like kind of like, how can I go do what I want to do? And music production, a lot of people don't really look into it so much. And I feel they should. And people don't appreciate it as much as they should. So it's really
I totally agree.
Really
I think it's funny because like music production, like I said, it really never crossed my mind until like December of 2019. Granted, I had been in like, I was in the marching band in high school. Like I've been doing music my whole life. Like I played the trumpet. My dad is a DJ. Like music is really in me and I would just love to listen to music, but I never thought of music production until really, I think I just started finding random videos on YouTube.
Sorry, my dog.
No, you're good. But it was really an accident that I fell into it. Like I was just like, I think I really just saw something on my recommended page for YouTube and I just started to follow. I fell down the YouTube wormhole and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a producer.
And can I ask you this? What kind of pushed you to like get back to it? Because you went through it in college and like kind of like throw you You kind of
Yeah.
like jump back into it. Like, what got you to do that?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what really happened because like I remember I started like in December in my room right here and my sister was like in my room too and we were just talking about it. I was like, this is bad. Like the first thing I was like, this sounds so bad. And I think how bad it sounded discouraged me. But what actually was the catalyst is that that semester I went back to school and I took a hip hop class. I took like a fundamentals of hip hop. It talked about like the four elements of hip hop. My teacher was a producer and a DJ. I was like, you know what? Let me just open up my laptop and see what happens. And I think I just started to find like those YouTube videos again. And what's funny is that when I first started making like beats, I was like, I don't know what sounds good. So I would send it to my friend, my guy Tommy, and he would just be like, no, this is good. Keep going. And it was really my friends that pushed me to keep going because I was like, this sounds bad. But they were like, it's good, even though in hindsight they were probably lying. But having like a supportive network of people is like really what pushed me forward to keep doing this.
Okay, I guess let's go back to just like what I ask you, like what motivated you.
Yeah.
Like we don't
So
have to start.
yeah, what motivated me was like one my friends because when I
Hmm.
told my friends, I was like, yo, I've been making music. They're like, okay, send me some music. And I was like, okay, I guess I actually have to make like decent music to send to them.
Uh-huh.
So just having people that wanted one that wanted to hear my stuff, and two, when I
Hmm.
sent them my stuff, would be like, yo, this is good. Just change up a few things and it's gonna be even better. That motivated me because when you're an artist, like now I'm considering myself an artist or a creative, like
Hmm.
it's so easy to be in your head and be like, this is horrible. Like this is not good. But if you have friends around you and people around you that tell you it's good, it'll make you be like, okay, maybe I do have something going on here. So definitely my friends motivated me. And two, just like the thought of having something to look forward to, like that sounds crazy, but when you're like, especially in your senior year, like you're thinking
Uh-huh.
of what's next for you. And I knew obviously that I had a job. Like I've had this job really lined up since 2018. So I knew that was coming. But I was like, what other elements of my life am I looking forward to? Like
Hmm.
obviously you have like the okay, like marriage, kids and stuff like that. But I was like, what about what do I want for myself? And once I
Yeah.
started to get into this music bag, like life just felt like so much better. I'm like, okay, I have something that I'm passionate about, like something
Uh-huh.
that I can look forward to doing. So definitely my friends and just knowing that I had a passion is what motivates me to keep going.
That's great. Honestly, I feel doing trying to find a job, trying to do like the whole mundane stuff. We forget that. We forget the passions that we have. And
Exactly.
hearing it from you and like how you went through it really motivates me on like going like continue with this because like sorry
No,
because
you're good.
with me it was just like kind of the same thing. I was like I kind of like struggled. I didn't have like I had the same same company aligned like you,
Mm-hmm.
but that time that I didn't do like a lot, like starting quarantine until when I started working, I was like, what am I gonna do? Like what's next? And that's
Right.
and it's scary. And it's scary to think like that. Like what's gonna like push me to like, keep the mundane not as mundane as it is. And what's gonna keep me like motivated? What do I wanna do? What's gonna make me, get out of my job and then I just go home and eat and watch TV. What am I gonna do about
Mm-hmm.
it? And
I
and let
totally
me ask you this.
agree.
Let me ask you this. Did you feel that you did not like you were losing the spark of motivation at some point?
To do music or just like to do the regular 9 to 5 stuff?
I guess yeah, 9 to 5, and then tell me about did you kind of feel that you were losing the spark to do the 9 to 5, and then tell me if you were losing the spark to continue doing music.
Yeah. For me, I definitely so prior to having music, like I said, like I always wanted to be passionate about something, but I really wasn't finding things to be passionate about. Like
Yeah.
it's so funny to say that, but I mean, I'm a black woman, so I'm passionate about like equity and equality in the black
Hmm.
community and stuff like that. but that can be exhausting because it's a whole fight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was just like in my head, like, and I was so funny. I was just telling my friends this, like prior to music, I was hyping myself up in my head that my passion was going to be climbing the corporate ladder and becoming like a CEO. But
Uh-huh.
then when music like came into the light into my life, like music production, it just
Hmm.
like made it be like, okay, like, yes, I'm still gonna have my 9 to 5. Yes, I'm still gonna work, but I have like something else that I can look forward to, like after work, like you said, like not just
Hmm.
watching TV and eating and working out. Like my passion for my 9 to 5, like I said, I enjoy work and it's good to have a job and everything like that. But having
Hmm.
something to look forward to after that that keeps you going, like that's what I'm so happy with music for. And in terms of losing motivation for music at one point, yes, like this summer, so I started my YouTube page and started uploading my beats there like in May.
Hmm.
And um I just was like having this idea prior to, I was like, once I upload beats, I'm gonna get hundreds of subscribers, millions of views. And let me tell you, that YouTube grind is something different. Like it's hard to get subscribers and likes and comments. Like, yes, my
Uh-huh.
friends are supportive, but like how many friends do I have? Like I need to have like more people. So I think around July or late June and early July, I was losing motivation because one, to get monetized on YouTube, you need to have
Hmm.
1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. I remember
Uh-huh.
checking my stats like at the end of June and I had like less than 100 subscribers and 30 watch hours. I'm like, at this pace, I think I did the math. I was like, it's going to take me about it wasn't 7, it was 17 years to
Hmm.
get monetized. I was like, oh my gosh, like that really took me out of it. Um, but what happened in July is early in July, one of
Hmm.
my tweets, I tweeted something about actually another music producer and it went viral. And I went viral on Twitter and I had people start subscribing to my YouTube and like that was the start of my YouTube getting better and people were like, "Oh, I like your music. Like this sounds good. This sounds good." And that was really re-sparked to my motivation, just having people like new people, not just my friends, say that my music sounded good. So really going viral on Twitter helped me have my passion for music. It never was gone, but like my motivation to post stuff was gone up until that point.
Wow. Honestly, I agree. YouTube grind is another thing. It's I don't know. I've seen your videos and they're great, and I'm just like,
Thank you.
how like we share kind of the similar job, and like after hours is really
Mhm.
hard to like sit down and like do something like productive
Mhm.
as time consuming. And when I was like watching your videos, I'm like, how can she do it? Like it is really good. And I think I saw that you were close to, you're like surpassing 800 at this point,
Yeah.
and you're at right now. Do you know how much subscribers you have at the
Yeah.
moment?
So I'm kind of obsessive about my YouTube. I hate that I'm obsessive about numbers because that doesn't quantify how good I am. But yes, I have
Hmm.
888 subscribers right now. So
Okay, good.
hopefully, I have a big goal in mind for the end of this year. I'm gonna just say it. I
Hmm.
want to have 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year.
Uh-huh.
But we'll see if that happens. But yeah, it's really a whole like another job, like having a YouTube. And I have to remind myself that because one, I love making music, but YouTube, like I said, is another job. And I don't want to use all of my free time just on YouTube and making music. Like I still like watching TV, I still like watching movies. So even
Uh-huh.
having to balance out how much time I spend on my hobbies is something I'm still learning.
I I can see that. It's like, because I guess you get to consume with like creating and like trying to be like all perfect, and I don't know, you felt this like perfectionism to the point that you like stop uploading the video, and
Yeah.
so it's like super right. But I feel that like work life and like actual like creative balance to like know when to stop and give you a rest is really important. And like hearing it from you makes me feel a little like calmer with all of this, because with me, like the whole podcast, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and it took me like probably like a whole month to like
Hmm.
after hours to like kind of like get it
Get the
together.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it really throws you off until like to the point that you don't sleep, and then like you start working the next day, and then you do it again, and then it's I'm glad that you're telling me that, because it's gonna like make me ground myself to like, okay, you have to like remember the other stuff and not worry about it.
Exactly. I
And
wish somebody was there to tell me this. Like, it's just, I don't know what happened. I think I saw a tweet. Like, Twitter really be coming through with insights to me. Like, I saw a tweet that says, like, you're free, not all of your free time should be like with your creative endeavors, like
uh
relax. And I was like, that is literally what I'm doing, because every weekend I would just like record videos or work on my
uh
music. I'm like, dang, I didn't even get to watch the movie or the episode of the show I wanted to watch. So having a balance, one, between your creative stuff and your 9 to 5 is one thing, and then having another balance between your creative stuff and your free time, like your
uh
relaxation time, is another thing. It's just, you have to figure it out, and it'll, I mean, I'm still figuring it out, but it gets better.
and what helped you to find that balance? Like, did you organize your time? Was it more like I like how do you say it? Like, did you find time to meditate or do stuff that you liked, or did you organize like, okay, this is gonna be my work schedule like in the morning, this is my creative work schedule in the afternoon, or what did you do?
Right. For me, organizing myself is very difficult. Like, because I'm the type of person, I'm like, having a routine is cool, but I be breaking my routine all the time. But
Hmm.
it's good with when you have a 9 to 5, like you usually know what your hours are. And I've started to have, like, I have my whiteboard next to me. I'm not going to move it because it's probably going to fall, but I have a whiteboard that I write
Uh-huh.
down like some of the things that I want to accomplish during the week. I don't do it by day because like my schedule, if I don't feel like doing something, I'm really not about to do something. So I just write down the things that I want to accomplish in the week. And then
Hmm.
as the week goes by, I'm like, okay, that looks like something I could probably do today. Like I could probably make one beat in 30 minutes today, or I can probably watch one episode of this show today. So just
Uh-huh.
having like a list of things I want to do for the entire week, not per day or per hour, because I'm not going to listen to it. I really won't, is what's helping me. It's helping me like get better at this whole, the two balances between my work and my creative time and my work and my relaxation time.
Nice, nice. I read a book, and it's from this guy. Is his name is Age Verduzco. I think I have it around here. Oh wait. I'm just trying to flex that I read. So
Right. I'm like,
he talks about I think like he has a diagram that explains like if you do something like for 25 minutes each day, it adds up to like 2.5 hours, I think, for a week. I
mhm.
feel that that's what you're doing. Will that be like a good explanation of what you're doing?
Yes, yes. I feel like that is a good explanation. I think that's a great explanation because, like, sometimes, and it's some days it's like instead of doing 25, I maybe do 50 minutes and I'll do 5 minutes the next day. Like, I'll just
Hmm.
decide to watch a YouTube tutorial for 5 minutes just to keep my brain active. That's
Hmm.
basically what I'm doing. Yeah, I like that.
It's and like I feel that it helps not to get exhausted to that point that you're like, you know what, I'm done, and then you don't touch it for like a day, or like not even do it for one like a day. I think how you're doing stuff really like makes me think of how I'm doing stuff for me, and I'm like, okay, probably doing stuff wrong, or like in not wrong, but like it's not the healthiest way to do stuff.
And that's the thing, like you're gonna find your way. Like I said, I know one day you're completely sure of yourself. You're like, hey, what I'm doing right here, this is good. Like this is a good process. And then next week you'll be like, I'm not feeling this anymore. Like I need to switch it up.
Hmm.
So for me, my life has always been like a constant cycle of like reinventing like ways that I'm doing things, because I don't know. I think I'm just restless in a way. I just have to have like change ups to figure out what works best for me in this moment, because
Hmm.
I change every day, honestly.
Uh, wow. I'm like thinking of like all the change, and with this quarantine, have you felt that change? Like, has it been like um different every day, or has it been like more like calm and you don't see that change that often?
I don't know. I would say it was. in the beginning, like if we throw it all the way back to March, I remember thinking that this quarantine was only going to be 2 weeks. So I was like, hey, it is what it is. I was just going with the flow. My friends, we would hang out, we would do homework. I wasn't really doing homework, but we would like hang out, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, but then when it set in to me that like, oh wait, we're like for real in a pandemic, like
Yeah.
that's when I was like, I should have been calming. It should have been calming, I feel like, to be like, okay, at least I can just sit down. But it was honestly worrying. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
I have all this time, even though I had music production at that time. I was like, this is crazy. I just felt the energy was off. But now that I've settled into having a job, and also I was like concerned because I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
know, like you never know in a pandemic if you're gonna have a job or not. But I think once I got my
Mhm.
job and I settled into everything, I started to feel more calm. I'm somewhat I've discovered that maybe I am a homebody because I've started to enjoy being at home, just watching TV, doing my own thing. So I feel like since the time from March until August, it was crazy, but now August until now, I've been pretty much like settled and calm with okay
Mhm.
and being okay and being in my house.
Nice. Nice. The beginning of quarantine was difficult. It wasn't difficult that much, but it was like surprising. I want to say. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
but I. That's really interesting that you like mention it. Did you go back home? Did you find your own apartment, or what did you do?
Yeah, so I was in college from March until May. So I was in my apartment during that time. That was
Mhm.
cool. But then when I graduated, so compounding the possibility of post grad depression with a pandemic and going home, I was like, this is crazy. So I was at home for like 2 weeks and I was like,
Mhm.
I need to go back to Columbus. Like that's where I went to school. I was like, I need to go back to Columbus. And I was so fortunate that me and my sister go to the same school. So she had an
Mhm.
apartment and she wasn't going to be there for most of the summer. So I was like, I'm going to just stay at your apartment. And I went back there. And I think just being in a place that I was familiar with, not saying I'm not familiar with my own home, but like when you go to college, that becomes your home. You're with your friends all the
Yeah.
time. And going back to Columbus after those 2 weeks of being home was helpful. I think so.
Did
Yeah.
it did it help you like in your mindset? Like, did it strain your mindset a little bit, or was it more like calming? After.
It was, I think it was calming to go back to Columbus because I saw that as vacation time. When I was back home, this is crazy. This is reminding me of high school. But I
Yeah.
think when I was back in Columbus, at that time I was like, okay, I know I'm gonna go back home eventually in August so I can work from home. But let me
Mhm.
just look at this time between like halfway through June and August as a vacation and let me enjoy my time here. Let me prepare my mind to be like a full-time person. So I think it was helpful. I think it was very helpful to go back and just think of it as a vacation and time for me to prepare rather than being at home and not
Mhm.
knowing what was going on and stuff like that.
Because I asked this because like for a lot of people like that went actually like went home, and
Hmm.
I most probably you've seen like the trends, like your mental health going back home goes
Right.
like under.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I asked because like my mental health is okay. Like I for college I've always been at home,
Hmm.
so I have that like um I'm okay with like being at home and
Right.
doing stuff.
Exactly.
But yeah, like I was just curious like how like it affected your music production, like your work, like going back at home.
I would say I was nervous to go back home and be producing. Like that was something I was very nervous about. My parents are
Hmm.
supportive. It had nothing to do with support. It was just like, I don't know. This is a different space. And just getting reacquainted to the house and finding out where am I going to produce? Like, am I going to produce in in my bedroom, in my bed, like at a desk? That
Uh-huh.
was something to navigate. And I did make a couple of good songs, a couple of good beats at home, but everything just felt awkward. Like it just felt really awkward for some reason. Like you get really attached to spaces. And like
Hmm.
now I just bought an oil diffuser. And like now when I produce, I have to have this oil diffuser on. Like, even though I don't like routines, I guess I am a creature of habit. So
Uh-huh.
like producing in my apartment in college felt very different than producing from home. But like I said, since I came back in August, I've been able to reacquaint myself. I'm like, all right, this is real. I'm actually going to be at home for at least a year. Let me just get used to it. Let me find my habits that I need to produce good
Hmm.
music. And it'll all come back to you eventually.
Okay, okay. That's I love that you use the words like the word habit.
Hmm.
And I feel now you're telling me that you became like a big homebody.
Yeah.
Like it's funny because like for me like I am comfortable in different places
Hmm.
and going back to like our summers like for internships.
Yeah.
I love like the change and like I felt
Mhm.
like a rush of like, you know what, this is something new, and then coming back it was like, okay, this is I'm coming back, but you know it's
Yeah.
something new. And I love that like that idea of like habit that is that like the space is important, but like actually building a habit on top of that space, I feel that it really like it it separates like the actual physical space of it and yourself. Like if you have your own habit and you're bringing it with you, I feel it'll let you untwine and be comfortable once again. Did that kind of happen with you?
I would say so. My habits in Columbus when I was there for the summer was to
Yeah.
make music at like from between 7 and 2 a.m. So when I started working, I could not do that. So I
Yeah.
had to find new habits.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know. I don't think my habits from Columbus translated to coming at home. I had to form completely new habits because I was like, I was really making music from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. on a couch
Mhm.
with a TV on, and I could not do that at my home. So I just formed new habits, but yeah, I just had to form new habits, honestly. And
Okay.
whenever I move to another place, I'll probably be able to still take my oil diffuser. So that'll be a habit that that carries over. But honestly, I had to make new habits once I came home. I think that's why the first time I came home and was making music,
Mhm.
I felt so disoriented. I didn't know what was going on.
Damn. Now that I think about it, like, um, for me, I have my main habits are like work, and then after work is like probably work out and then do something. Well, with this is my new habit, like actually trying to
Yeah.
work. So it's interesting, like that transition of habits. Did it take like some time to like know what was the trigger for you, like to actually help you out, or was it like something you already had in mind, planned, or?
No, it just took time, honestly. Like I would make music. When I came back, I would make music in my bed. But I'm like, this is kind of bad on my back. So then I would like make music like on my couch, which is cool. But then my parents would
Mm,
be on the couch too. And I'm like, sometimes I just want to be myself. Then I got a
mm,
desk and I was like, okay, this is the new habit. So it definitely took like trial and error for real to like figure out what works best for me. So now sitting at my desk with my computer, with my oil diffuser, with my lights on, like that is my new habit. But it took like several iterations to get there,
mm.
agile type stuff.
Oh my god, yeah, agile. Be quick. What's the next task? Are we gonna
Right.
like be okay by release date? This is like soft. This is like what is it? Software engineering slang and for
Right.
planning. Okay, guys. Um, so let me ask you this: Was it for you that you went into college and you developed this like goal in like or achievement of being like a actual music producer? Has it been difficult into the sense that you had like an identity crisis or something like that? Did it like like was it one of those stories that you're like, no mom, I'm gonna be this and I'm gonna like drop out, or was it like hand in hand, or was it like one or the other?
So I think for me, my identity crisis really didn't come from music. It just came with my major. Because, like I said, I was chemical engineering and I realized
Mm-hmm.
very early on that that was not the way for me. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make this transition to like whatever, something else. So,
Mm-hmm.
really, my identity issues like started at my major. But once I found music, and I think I told my parents about it. Yeah, I'm Nigerian, so I was expecting all types of chaos. But it was fine. It was fine. And I think for me, because my parents knew I had a job, they're like, and
Hmm.
they knew I graduated with my chemical engineering degree because I just fought through that nonsense. Uh, they were like, do it. So I think since I have my approval from my parents, I was like, I don't
Hmm.
care what nobody else thinks. Like the F, like I have my parents' approval. I can just jump into being a music producer and claim that identity and be strong in it. I mean, the only thing maybe is just like being a woman in music production. Like, there's not a
Uh-huh.
lot of women. Shout out to Wonder Girl. She's also a Nigerian producer and she makes music for Travis Scott. But like, there's not a lot of
Nice.
women in
Hmm.
production, and that was my fear. Like going online with my tutorials, I was scared that like if these guys heard my voice or even saw my face. That's why my first like videos, like I didn't have my face in there because I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen if they see a girl is talking about like how to make better beats and like all these thoughts ran through my mind. But once I got settled in it, I'm claiming my identity as the Black woman that was an engineer major now doing music production.
Damn, that I love that story. That's like good. This is like momentous, I want to say. Well, that story, like,
Mm-hmm.
um, being in engineering, and I've seen this, like women in engineering is not as much. I was not aware that women in music production was like almost. Is it like not known, or is it just like non-existent, frowned upon?
I was thinking about that because it's funny. Like I said, I'm kind of obsessive about my YouTube, so I look at like the different analytics. And
Uh
I
huh.
recently looked at this analytic that I'd never looked at before that basically showed me the gender, like the percentage of gender, like males versus female, who
Hmm.
were watching my videos. And 98% of my watchers are guys. Only 2% are women. I'm like, this is a mind blowing. And I'm thinking, and I'm just like, I don't know where the problem is. Like
Hmm.
I'm cool with making with guys watching my videos, but like it's the lack of women and it just makes me think I don't know where it's coming from. I don't think that maybe we know representation matters. So maybe
Yeah.
only seeing Wonder Girl and a lot of people don't even know who Wonder Girl is. So if you don't see women producers, you're not going to be a woman producer. And in general, people don't
Hmm.
really think of producers, so
Yeah.
we're already hidden in that fact. Like, yeah, we know the big producers like Pharrell, but he also has his own music career. Kanye, he also has his own music career,
Hmm.
but people aren't thinking about producers. And I guess the guys I guess are just more interested in hearing the backgrounds, but I would love for there to be more women producers. I would really love that. Get the percentage up from 2%.
Hey, you're already doing it. You already have a YouTube channel. It's
Right.
growing. It The passion that I hear from you, that's gonna get them. That's gonna get them. And uh, representation really matters. Like, and how you said, like, the lack of women representation. I guess more with with time with time is gonna like grow, and you're
Yeah.
already showing it. And if I'm already talking to you and you have the passion, I'm pretty sure like there's a lot of women that are like passionate about it. But sometimes they fear getting hurt, or guys can be kind of mean,
Yeah,
and
that was my fear.
especially especially in the internet. So it's like you're already doing it and putting it out there is like completely like milestone forward.
Right.
And because the outreach that you're gonna have is gonna be a lot, and it's gonna push people. And and I feel that, like, for me, I try to do that. Like, I try to push people. I don't know if you have that also in
Hmm.
mind as a goal to
Yeah.
when you do your videos. So that's amazing.
Yeah. It's definitely something that I think about because when I started, like most of my comments were from guys, but
Hmm.
recently there's this girl that's always commenting on my videos. Like on my last video, she commented, she's like, "Oh, what camera do you use for your recording?" So to me, that indicates that maybe she'll start recording. And I'm like, this is dope. Like, I'm like this is so great. Like, I'm not even thinking like of competition. Like, I want to see more women like out here doing it. Like, and I'm glad that she asked me. And I hope more women ask me, like, oh, how do you
Hmm.
do this? How do you do that? How do you set up your like ring lights and stuff like that? Like, I want it to be like more women here because if I saw if I saw more women doing it earlier, I probably would have done it. I don't even think I think I found out who Wonder Girl was probably like late 2019. I was
Hmm.
like, oh, she's dope. And then I just like started listening to her music, a whole bunch of other producers who were guys, but like seeing one woman do it motivated me and it's gonna motivate more women, hopefully.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna motivate more women.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you think? What do you think? Like, in our society, I'm going deep here.
Oh.
Um, in our society, what at what point do you think like there's gonna be more women like as music producers, or just in general, like more into that realm of music production, or just music production in general? Like, what point do you think is gonna be like this is what's gonna happen, and then boom, there's gonna be a spike up? Like, what do you think in the future is gonna happen?
I'm hoping and I'm thinking that we're just gonna like you see how look at females and women in rap.
Hmm.
Um like we see Meg the Stallion, we see Rico Nasty, we see Flo Millie, we see all these women. It really and this might be controversial, but really it really popped off with Nicki Minaj. Like once Nicki
Hmm.
Minaj busted the door down where not only women respected her, like obviously I'm a woman, so I'm gonna respect another woman. But
Yeah.
when Nikki was coming crazy with her bars and men started to respect her, she really broke down the door for all these women in the rap game to come
Hmm.
in and like it's crazy. Like the rap girls really ruled 2020, like for real. So I'm hoping the same thing happens with women. Like Wonder Girl is dope, she's very low key, but if we have like a loud and proud woman producer come out that has the same confidence and outspokenness as like
Hmm.
the big producers like Kanye and Dre and all these big producers that know they're good, like I
Hmm.
know that's going to usher in more women. So we just need one. We just need one. And that might be it, but we'll see.
Hey, you're growing in numbers. It can always be you. I mean, you have the passion. I totally see it. I see the passion and everything. You know, I guess we're quarantining and not a lot of concerts. And I'm just going to the topic of like music, kind of like in a halt.
Hmm.
I feel that there's opportunity of exposure online, but
Hmm.
there's a lack of opportunity of exposure on the actual industry sense of it. So I feel there's gonna be a lot of like push to like make more women music producers, but
Hmm.
it's gonna take a time to like get them exposed as yeah, you know, that typical story, like, oh, I went to like a record label and I gave him my
Hmm.
sample. I feel that that's gonna like take a halt until this pandemic is like over, and then there's gonna be a lot of like women gonna out and trying to get their word out there, and especially with concerts, because um I don't know a lot of how the industry works, but I know that concerts is like a number one.
Yeah.
Like trying to get that actual physical exposure is like the number one, and then everything else is like number two, number three, like internet. Right now, Spotify, like you can grow super like big on
Hmm.
Spotify if you have something really good. But what do you think about that? Like, do you think it's gonna take a while? Is it gonna be after the pandemic, or more online basis?
It's hard to say because I will say, being in quarantine, we've seen like the explosion of TikTok. Like, I was so resistant to TikTok. I only actually made a TikTok last week because my friend went viral on TikTok. But
Okay,
honestly, like
okay.
when we think of like TikTok, TikTok has been the explosion of so many songs, like Savage, the Savage remix,
Mm-hmm.
like the Savage with Megan the Stallion, that went viral because of TikTok and people doing the
Mm-hmm.
Savage challenge. We think of that song Corvette, Corvette, like that went viral on TikTok, and that led to so many streams. So I
Mm-hmm.
think if a lot of us producers and women producers are very strategic on how we use our social media platforms, we might be
Mm-hmm.
able to pop during this quarantine, because if we get one catchy song and start a little challenge, like it can really blow up like that. But that being said, most songs, like from the big guys, like you think of Drake, Young Thug, all these
Mm-hmm.
different artists, it happens in the studio. So you can
Yeah.
be big online and you can have that online clout, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't necessarily translate into being in the studios and getting yourself into the rooms and being there. So it's really hard to balance. And right now there is no balance, because like we can't go into the studios like that unless you're already established and you're already in
Mm-hmm.
LA or where the big studios are at. So I think while right now we can pretty much pop on online with the TikToks and YouTubes and people spending so much time online, it's going to be a different beast trying to translate this to being in the studio. And that's something that has
Mm-hmm.
always scared me. Like the thought of going into a studio and having to have my beats ready, like that scares me. So I'm not gonna know how I'm gonna perform until I'm there. And I'm not going to the studios until I get a vaccine. So it might be a while.
A studio can be overwhelming and scary because you see like I've seen studios for DJ producers, and I just see like the craziest that I've seen is Dead Mouse, and that guy is like he invents his own like studio. He has like one of the most expensive and biggest studios in his mansion, and I see
Mhm.
his stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. That it looks foreign. So like a normal studio, I'm also like, I don't know how they do it, and I don't know if it's something you feel that like you kind of. I know that you're doing this like on your computer, but when you actually see it physical, does that intimidate you not having or developing that skill, or what is the thing that intimidates you?
That does intimidate me. For one, there's several things that intimidate me as a producer. Like I said, we talked about habits earlier. I've been able to like curate. I feel very comfortable in my house, so I can
Mm,
make music and feel comfortable. Like for my YouTube videos, I usually where I'm showing my face, like I usually have like my hair done and my makeup
yeah.
on and stuff like that. But when I'm really making music in my house, like I have my hoodie on tight. Like I like to like have compression on my head for some reason. So I put my hoodie on, tie it up and
Mm,
stuff like that. I'd be looking crazy. So the thought that I have to go into a studio full of probably mostly guys that are smoking, drinking, whatever. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like in that type of environment, I would clam up and not talk a lot. And then they'll be like,
mm,
why is she here? Like, okay, does she have beats? Like, what is she doing? So that's one
mm,
thing that scares me, like being in an environment where people are like being very outgoing and I'm just like intimidated because one, I'm like, I'm a woman, and two, I don't like be smoking and drinking. So like
yeah.
that's something that's scary. And then the technical aspect, like you said, like you've seen like a studio, like there's so many damn knobs. Like there's so many knobs and sliders. And I'm like, what is going on here? So the technical aspect of going in there and me maybe like breaking something or not knowing how to plug my stuff in, that scares me. So it's like it's a couple of things that are just having me scared. And two, three, the ability to not perform. Like I can take
Hmm.
my time and make music here, but I'm scared they're gonna be pressing me like, okay, like make
Oh.
a beat. I don't want to hear something you made before. Make a beat in 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, all right, let's see. Let's see what I can pull out my hat. Like those are the three things that really scare me about being in a studio.
I mean, it's totally understandable. Like, it's a complete change of environment. It's like
Yeah.
from your house and then going to like a studio, and how you said like people already experienced in their environment. For that, what would you do? Like, would you try to acclimate to their environment, or would you try to be like bring your own vibe to it? And you know what? Like, this is what I'm doing. Like, let me be. What would you do?
Exactly. I think I gotta bring a piece. I gotta bring at least my oil diffuser. That's coming with me regardless. I gotta.
You'll
I
be
think I,
you'll be just like, here, this is me.
all right. This is me. This is me right here, my oil diffuser. For sure, I definitely have to bring a piece of myself. So I've got to
Hmm.
bring like things that make me comfortable. So definitely my oil
Hmm.
diffuser. I have to make sure I have my own equipment, like my laptop, my mouse. I have to bring things that I'm familiar with, so at least I can
Hmm.
feel like, okay, this is somewhat normal. And then, of course, things you have to adapt. So if everybody's talking in there and being social, like I'm not about to be in my corner, like in
Mm-hmm.
my head, not doing anything. I definitely have to be able to adapt. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm doubting myself. Like in most situations, I can adapt very well. So I'm just hyping myself up to be scared. But I know I have to like be able to one, be myself with some of the items that I bring, but also be able to like see the scene and be like, okay, this is what I have to do to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that I'm heard and that people like are cool with me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a
I,
balancing act.
I see. I see. I mean, yeah, it's a whole, because you're bringing yourself into like this whole new thing, or like not a whole new thing. It's like unknown territory,
Yeah,
and
very.
it's just like, this is me, this is what I'm doing,
Right?
and the whole adapting thing, I really like that. I've always been like a person that really likes to adapt to its surroundings,
Mm-hmm.
but uh I feel that sometimes you get lost with it. And I guess the important thing is bring yourself in, but adapt. Like don't adapt and then just like forget about yourself, you know?
Exactly. Everything is about balance in this life. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to be able to adapt, but don't forget who you are. So
Mm.
I'm gonna adapt, but you're not about to see me out here wilding in the studio, like just because everybody else is wilding. Like I have to be able to know who I am, but
Mm.
know what I have to do to make sure that I can I can show what I do, you know, my
Yeah.
music.
Okay. So yeah, I asked you about when did you like understand how important balance was?
Right. So I feel like I've always known balance is important, but just because you know something doesn't mean you're actually going to do it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not until you feel your life is completely out of balance
Mm-hmm.
to you start like being like, okay, I have to be intentional about balance. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know when I felt like my life wasn't completely out of balance, but I feel like more recently, like I would say probably in the last like 3 months is where I tried to really be intentional about balance. Cause for me, when you're in college, like my life is just always in flux. You never know what's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
Like so balancing things in college was just really not something I was like really gonna do. Cause I'm like, it's gonna change every single day. I never know how I'm gonna feel. I never know what excitement is gonna beat my ass. I never know what's gonna happen. So balance was really not something I was prioritizing in college because I was like, this is just chaotic by nature. But I
Yeah.
think once I became a full-time worker and I was like okay with the idea that I'm gonna be at home working and living here, like that's when I was like, okay, now let me prioritize my balance because I feel like I'm in a somewhat stable place that I can actually think about things that I want to make sure that I'm constantly doing to be balanced. So
Mm-hmm.
that was, I think, it was very recent when I decided balance was important enough for me to actually make steps to create balance in my life.
I feel that after college, I do believe that college is like the free trial of
Yeah,
like adulthood. It really like puts you, because it's so chaotic and there's so much going on and so much knowledge like all around us and everything.
hmm
But um yeah, corporate life or like just getting a job and out of college puts you into like the point of, yeah, what's important, what's like what's gonna like what's gonna push my scale to like one side
hmm
and kind of like unbalance everything, like it, and it's hard to like pick up those little things that is gonna like bring everything into like a balance, how you said. And I
exactly.
feel like habits are important, and I think that's what brings you balance. I don't know if that is what help you out, like those little habits.
For
um
sure. For sure. I haven't worked out in several weeks, so I'm out of balance with that. But that's the thing. When I try and when I have a routine, because I'm pretty consistent for like 3 to 4 weeks, and then when I fall off, that's when I feel like everything is completely out of balance. Like
yeah.
it'll just spiral to everything being out of balance. So having habits is very important to establishing balance. And I saw a tweet. I'm telling you, Twitter be putting me on. It was like something like motivation alone, like motivation is great, but motivation alone isn't going to get you to where you want to be. You have to have like healthy habits. You have to be
Hmm.
intentional intentional about the stuff that you're doing. And I'm like, that's so true. Cause I can motivate myself all that I want to be a great music producer. But if I'm not being consistent in trying to get better, trying to put out content, trying to listen to more music, because that's a big
Hmm.
part of making music, like listening
Yeah.
to music. I have to make sure, like, I've been pushing myself to listen to music that I usually wouldn't listen to. Like,
Hmm.
having those type of habits is very important to getting to the next stage in whatever you want to be, like in your work life or in your creation life.
Nice. I
Yeah.
feel that you've like looked into this like a lot. Like you really like did it happen to you that you've had it so much in your head that once you like doing it you're like, wow, like this is different what I was thinking, but it was what I was thinking. Kind of
Hmm.
like it's because I hear you and I'm just like that's like I've thought about like, podcasts and stuff like that. I'm just like once you actually do it, you're like you have like those epiphanies that you're like, wow, so
Yeah.
this is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
This is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
great.
It really just happened like that.
um, can you tell me one thing that I really want to start with the podcast is share with people what motivates you, like media, people, um, like I don't know. Tell me what motivates you, like on random occasions when you're down.
Yeah. Let's see. This sounds, it might sound very vain, but money really does motivate me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, if you follow me on Instagram and Twitter, you know I'm all not for all this very capitalistic stuff. But for me, I never want to be in a position where I don't have the ability to move somewhere or do something because
Hmm.
of money.
Yeah.
So one, money is a motivation in terms of me to keep like doing my regular job and making
Hmm.
sure that I'm not only looking at my creative endeavors as like something creative, but as a business. Because
Hmm.
yes, while I love making music just because I love listening to music, like I literally like love music. Like it just makes me feel so good. But you know what? Like, why can't I also try and monetize what I
Hmm.
love doing? So having moments like that where I'm like, you know what, I want to do this type of vacation. Okay, let me work hard so I can get that type of vacation. That motivates me. But also the thought of just like being like a creative, that motivates me because for a long time in my life, like even though I did music, like I played it, like I said, in band throughout from
Hmm.
fifth grade until high school. So I always like did music, but I was doing like sheet music. So that's notes and stuff that was already created. So I never
Yeah.
considered that very creative. And so because of that, for most of my life, I never really thought I was creative. Um,
Hmm.
but once I realized like I was just using the wrong stuff to figure out my creativity, once I realized that I could be creative during music, that has motivated me. So the thought of being creative and trying to push myself and see what my creative limits are, that
Hmm.
motivates me because I'm like, I just want to continue to be creative because I felt like I haven't been creative before. So that's something that
Hmm.
motivates me, money and being creative.
I mean, money is a great motivator. I do not judge you or anything. I love money too. I am in the same page. Like I love traveling. I love just, have I think for me it's not the money concept, it's just having the opportunity, an opportunity, losing opportunity due to money. It's just like, dude, it's
Exactly.
like, come on. Like and then
Exactly.
like I don't know, for me like it became to a point that I was like it's easy to make money if you're smart about it. Like the money is just there.
Mm.
It's just like trying to figure out how to get it, and once you get it, it's like it's like okay,
Yeah,
I can
I got
keep doing it.
it right.
Yeah,
I
so
completely agree. I'm so glad you said that thing because it's not really what the money is. It's the fact that okay, now I can travel because of the money. I
mhm.
can go to Brazil because of the money. I
Oh
can
yes.
I've been to Brazil. I loved it. I can buy more equipment because of money. I
Mhm.
can eat good food because of money. I like the things that money can get me. Just hoarding my money isn't necessarily something that I enjoy, but getting
Mhm.
experiences out of money. So because of that, I need money.
Oh yeah, I totally understand. Tell me something. Do you spend more money on equipment than on yourself?
I would say yes. I'm kind of cheap, so I tried to hold out on spending money on my equipment as long as possible. Like I
Yeah.
was using the demo version of my software called Fruity Loops for like 7 months. Like so I
Hmm.
couldn't I had full access to everything, but I couldn't save any projects. So I would only be
Uh,
able to make the music, turn it into an MP3, and then it was gone. But I realized that I had money and I'm like, okay, I love making music. Why not invest in the things that make me happy? So once I got
hmm
past that, that's when I started to spend more money on actually buying my software, buying
hmm
gear like my keyboard, buying my mic, buying my I'm gonna buy a new computer soon.
hmm
So yeah, I spend more money on my stuff than myself because I'm not going anywhere. So I might as well just keep buying, investing in my own stuff.
I agree with the whole like not going anywhere right
Yeah.
now. Quarantine. I don't know how long it's gonna last. Like it looks like it's gonna last for like a couple of months more. But I asked this because me personally, I it's been a struggle and it's not a bad problem, but it's just like I don't spend money on myself.
Mm-hmm.
I like at all. Like I'll probably buy clothes like every once in a while when I need it.
Wow.
But like I do like I did buy the equipment.
Yeah.
I do buy stuff for my family and stuff like that. But like for me, I'm just like it's a little too much. And so
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking. I'm just trying to get different perspectives of and
Yeah.
I feel it's just I'm it's a lack of like not having money before, and I'm still trying to like improve my image. I'm starting to get more on that mindset of like, you know what, I do love myself. I want to
Yeah.
look good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just like I'm getting there. But that I just wanted to know what your like idea with money was.
Yeah. Before I didn't like to spend money. Like I've just always, I don't know, I just never I never like had a struggle in my like childhood for money, but my parents had all my money. So when I
Yeah.
started to
Oh.
have money, when I started to have my own money for my internships, I was like, I don't know what to spend this on. Like what's going on? But then when I realized like why not invest in the stuff that is actively making me happy, I was like, you know
Hmm.
what? Let me start spending some of this money. Of course, I got a savings account, but let me spend this money.
I love the whole what you said about what makes you happy, because
Yeah.
I feel that's like the most important. And I feel we diverge a lot about like a lot on what makes us happy.
Hmm.
And I really like that you say that it's not
Yeah.
bad spending on yourself and looking good, making
Right.
yourself happy. Even like just like the food, I think I spend a lot on food. That's it, because it makes me happy. It's just the thing
Dang.
that it's good. But I love that being happy is like, I want to say being happy is a really big and good motivator personally.
Yes, yes.
And
I
then it
forgot
doesn't make
to
and it doesn't make you look selfish. And I feel
Mhm.
we as a society we have diverged a lot about that. Like being happy is better than not being happy but being okay with everybody else, or looking not selfish.
Mhm.
So i
Exactly.
I like that you said that.
Yeah. Yeah. Spend money on what makes you happy. Gotta do it.
Gotta do it.
Yes.
It's so capitalism kind of sucks, but with
Yeah.
everything going on, I mean, if it makes you happy, I mean, money does buy happiness in some ways
In
because
some
it brings
ways.
you in some ways, not
In
definitely.
Yeah, not it's not a guarantee just because you have money doesn't mean you're always going to be happy. But I definitely think having money can clear the path. Okay, like
Yes.
because when you don't have money, like yes, you can be happy, but there's a lot more obstacles in your way to that happiness. I think
Mm.
having money can definitely clear out that obstacle course so that you have more time to focus on your happiness.
Oh, you like took the words from my brain and like put them out there. You're like creates the path.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to think. Being a first time like podcaster is not as easy as I thought.
It's not. It's not. Me and my friends are trying to make a podcast, and I'm like, girls, like, just buckle up. It's about to be a bumpy ride.
It's because like it's when you have like those good conversations with your friends, you're like, yeah, like you
Yeah.
keeps going, but when you're trying to actually sit down and have them, you're so
Hmm.
like, so what's next? What are we
Right.
talking about?
Next segment.
So yeah, so I'm trying to think. So with this podcast, I think we have touched a lot of like main points that I wanted to touch, which
Mhm.
was your process of being a music producer, the struggles that you've gone through. I don't know if
Mhm.
you want to share another you know, some, I don't want to say hardship, but like difficult time for me, like that you've gone through, you
Yeah.
know. I don't know if you've gone through like something more mentally or just creative. Have you struggled to like actually make a beat to the point that you're like, you know what, this is not working out, or
Absolutely. Like beat block is what we like to call it. It's such a real thing. And that was also something I was very scared of, like starting off. Like
uh-huh.
I just felt like I was scared that there was a ceiling, like to my creativity, because
Hmm.
I would be so like it would take me like probably 3 days, like when I first started off, to make like a solid beat. And then I would take a week break between making another one because I'm like, I can't just keep going back to back because I'm gonna lose all the creativity. I don't know how much creativity I have, and I'm not trying to use it
Hmm.
up all right now. That has been something that I was scared of, and I'm still like, I'll still be thinking like, oh my gosh, like after I make a fire beat, I'm like, I don't know if I can make another one. That's something that that's constantly on my mind. Like
Hmm.
once you make a good video, because one of my videos did really well. It came out in October and has at this point has like 7,400 views. And I remember I was like, this is great. Oh my gosh, I have so many views. Like once it got past 1,000 views, I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. But then I put the pressure on myself. Like I have
Mm.
to top that. And that is something that is so scary. And I get why artists like they'll release a good album like SZA, like she'll release an album and then not release something for years because it's so easy to get in your head to be like, okay, well, I did something so amazing. Like, how do I even top that without taking away the fun from it? So that's
Hmm.
something that I'm always going back and forth with. That's something that you just gotta honestly figure out how to do by yourself. Because I have no idea how. I mean, I'm still like trying to be like, okay, don't put out this pressure on myself to have to always outdo myself. Like, have fun with it, but it's natural to just get scared sometimes when you do something good and people like it and you're like, okay, well, now they expect me to do it again, you know? And
Yeah.
that's something that has just always been on my mind. Like it's crazy. Like I always compare all my videos, all the statistics, and I just have to remember like, this is not like a linear path. Like this is like a sine wave. You're going to be
Hmm.
up and down and I just have to remember that. Uh, That's like really my only struggles, I think.
And what has helped that like creativity, what has helped you like get over that like creativity block, or like just that
Yeah,
idea of like that's the ceiling, like what has made
exactly.
you like go through the
Right.
ceiling and
That's
like
true.
uh-huh.
I think knowing that other people feel this exact same way helps me because
Hmm.
I like started to form like a community of producers that I speak to and that I see online and hearing them talk about like, oh my gosh, I just had beat block for a week straight. Like that makes me feel so much better. Like knowing that like I'm not the only one that's scared about tapping out, like maxing myself out creatively. Like great producers that I follow online feel the same way and knowing that okay, I'm not alone. Like, we're going to get through this. And they push through and they still make good creative stuff. And sometimes they just take a break and stop producing for a week and then come back. Like, that just makes me feel so much better because when you feel like you're the only one, like, feeling this way, it's so crazy. Like, I would just be like, I don't know, I should probably stop because I don't think I have any more. But once you find out other people are
Hmm.
experiencing the same things and have made it through that other side, you're like, okay, let me take a breath. I can do this too.
I love I love that. I say I love that a lot. I'm like loving this conversation because like when I was looking at your videos and everything, I was like, damn, like she's good, like she's doing great, and like the videos were really good, and like the whole idea, because I wasn't aware like you wanted to be a music producer when I met you. So like now that you're telling me all of this, I feel it's really, I love the perspective that you have, and I love
Yeah.
like the first hand perspective that you're putting out there, like for
Yeah.
people that are listening, like this is what you're going through. And I feel having a good network and community is, it's amazing, because it makes you not feel alone. And a lot of people struggle when they feel alone because they have nobody to, like, getting the suggestions, or like anybody has some previous experience. It's hard to like I want to say, I don't want to say relate. It's like find like a solid base to
Right.
start from. So
I
so it's amazing that you have that community.
Right. Find a community. It helps. Like, and that was something I realized in college. Like, I remember when I first got into my major, I was struggling so hard because I was not
Hmm.
talking to people in my major. Like, I was not talking to people. I was just like, I'm gonna do it on my own.
Hmm.
That bit me in my ass. So, but when I decided to start making friends, like everything became so much easier. And it's the same with your
Yeah,
music or whatever you want to do. Like, find a community, ask them questions, be cool with them, like be friends with them, and it'll be so much easier. So much easier. You don't have to struggle in silence. Like it's crazy.
I feel being welcoming is so important with like people. And
Extremely important.
and have you talked to anybody that you're like, you could be my little apprentice or something like that? Have you met somebody like that?
I don't know. Like I don't know about an apprentice or anything like that. Cause I always have this theory. I don't want to take advantage of people. That's something that I'd be scared
Hmm.
of. But there's so many people that like, and it'd be making me, I'd be having to humble myself sometimes. Cause I'm like, all these people want to collaborate with me. Like, who
Uh-huh.
do they think I am? Like, I'm really regular Chizua. Like, I don't have any clout. What are y'all talking about? But when people always like reach out and they're like, hey, I want to do a collab, I never say no because like one, like I never know where this opportunity can take me. And two, if they're reaching out to me, they obviously think that I have something that I can help them with or that I can provide. So I feel like being welcoming and being able to reach out to new people and speak with new people and do stuff like just because it's an opportunity for them and it's an opportunity for you is very important. Like obviously know your boundaries. If you feel like somebody's just crazy, then don't do anything like that. But I'm usually very welcoming if somebody wants to know how I do something. I'm not about to hold back from them, like unless it's like a
Hmm.
trade secret. But I feel like sharing the knowledge is so important because I was only able to do production because people were willing to share what they were doing online.
Hmm. Sharing the knowledge is also really important. I
Very
love,
important.
it's really, really important. And nowadays, do you think people are really welcoming or not as much?
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. Um, I mean, the boomers would say no. The boomers would say, "Oh, the new generation, they just keep to themselves. They don't speak to people. They're always on their phone." But
Yeah.
honestly, the internet can be so dangerous, but can also be such a great spot. Like people that are introverts, they usually wouldn't even want to talk to people in the first place. They feel more comfortable
Yeah.
doing it online and being welcomed online. So it can be better for them than had it been in the 80s and 90s where they had to speak to people in person. So it's really, I think it's I don't know. It's hard to say. In some senses, I do wish when we link up with people that they would be on their phones less, but also
Hmm.
people be welcoming on their phones. So it's really a toss up. You have to see whichever one applies to you.
Hmm. Which, it's just like how you said, a trial and error, like finding who, I guess, connect with creatively.
Hmm.
And I mean, there's a lot of people that work in different ways, and I feel that that's also really important. And I'm glad that you say that, like, finding kind of like the people that really like show that they want to like be there and like collaborate. And and I asked this because like now, right now with everything online, I feel it's is really accessible. Like for example with Clubhouse, how it's like
Yeah.
out there and like you talk to a lot of people, and it's really interesting to find that it's like to see how many people are willing to like open up and be interactive. And some other people, they just like really like close. They
Mhm.
don't want to share what they know because they have this mentality. And I don't know if it's like an old mentality or just a mentality in general that you're like, oh, I struggled this much, I'm not gonna like,
You have to struggle too.
yeah,
Right.
it's not gonna lie, I've had that mentality, but when I was like younger, like when I was younger, I was like, I don't know, like because struggling helps you to grow, but
Build
there's a
that
point.
character.
But yeah, but there's a point, like come on, like if I
Right.
want to know this, like why won't you help me out and like not give you the whole like everything, like the
Right.
answer, but like guide you. And I
Right.
feel there's a line between actually being a guide and actually just like, oh, you know what, this is what I did it, that's it.
Mhm.
And I feel that's really important to find also as not as a leader or like a mentor, but just like a collaborator. Like if I want to know this and you already know it and we're working together, guide me through it. And
Right.
some brainstorming comes in, and you pick something up, I pick something up, and we're all happy here.
Exactly. That's very important. Very important. And I need to get better at that. Um, I just want to get better at being able to collab. Because I remember when I
Hmm.
first started producing, I was like, I don't know how people collab because it'd be taking me forever to make music sometimes. And I'm just like, I'm gonna annoy somebody. But I was really scared that I was gonna annoy somebody. But being like, you really should be able to try and collab with people because you never know what you're gonna get from them. You
Hmm.
never know what you're gonna give to them. Like, it's very important. I think it's very important.
Right now with current quarantine, have you collaborated with other people?
I have, and I'm so thankful for the people that have reached out to me and really like forced me. I wouldn't say forced me, but they were really they were the initiators because I'd be like saying, okay, I'm gonna collab with that person. I'll take notes, but then I'd be getting so busy or I'm like in my own head, I'll be like, okay, I ended up never reaching out to them to collaborate. But some of my subscribers have really been avid about DMing me and they're like, let's do this. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, let's do it. This way we'll just send stuff back and forth. But one of
Hmm.
my friends, one of my the people that I'm cool with, his name is Juco. He was like, no, let's like hop on a Zoom and you pull up your Fruity Loops, I pull up mine and we do this. So I was like, whoa, this is different. This is crazy. But it was so good. Like that felt to me like my first taste of being in a studio, even though we were doing it virtually. Like it
Uh-huh.
was so good. I learned stuff from him. I've sent him stuff afterwards. Like that was such a great experience. So collaborating with people really pushes you outside of your comfort zone and it's
Hmm.
been super helpful. So I'm so glad that the people that I've collaborated with, they were the ones that initiated it and it's pushed me to want to do more collaborations.
Nice. Have you have you thought about like who you're gonna reach out to?
I have. I be taking screenshots because I'm on Twitter and stuff and Instagram. I'd be like, okay, I take screenshots. I'm like, I'm a collaborate with that person. I'm gonna reach out to that person. But like I said, I'd be getting lazy and I'd be forgetting. But hopefully I'll look back at that folder of screenshots and I'm gonna start reaching out to people again because I want to collaborate.
Nice. And I are you kind of like, are you scared of like reaching out?
Yeah, there's always a chance that somebody will be like, no, or somebody is gonna be like, I don't even like your music or something like that. It's scary, but I was just telling my friends that wanted to do
Hmm.
the podcast, that wanted to make a podcast of us. I'm like, before we do this, y'all have to be okay with looking stupid. And I mean, like really, that's something that you have to get over because
Hmm.
you do your like, I didn't watch your first episode of your podcast, unfortunately, but I'm gonna go back and
No, that's
watch it.
fine.
But or when I released my first video, like you just never know. Like you have to be okay with being embarrassed and feeling
Hmm.
stupid about it, but just be proud of the fact that you even did something. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if only one person watched it and everybody else hated it. Like the fact that you even pushed yourself to do that and like push yourself outside your comfort zone, like just be okay with that and have like an inner sense of self, like no matter what anybody says, I did good because I was able to push myself.
Yeah.
So that goes into collaborating because I might collaborate with somebody and it might be terrible or
Hmm.
they might reject me, but hey, I put myself out there. I was okay with being feeling stupid in the moment, but I know that I push myself and I'm better for it. That's something very important.
I agree. Like setting, putting yourself out there is like such a big step, but once you do it and realize like, yeah, like how you said, like this is for me, not for anybody else,
Exactly.
it like takes you off. And yeah, with my first episode it was like that. Like I was like, how I recorded one, like my best one, I think it was like on, it was like 2 3 in the morning, and I was like, I recorded, I was like, done, this is it.
Yeah.
And it took me like a while now, and like, and at some point I was, you know what, this is good, I like it. I was like, you know, you feel comfortable with it, and it's like, that's good, this is what I wanted to be.
Mhm.
And once you like release it, you're just like, anxiety takes over and you're like, okay,
Yes.
so what's gonna happen?
Yes.
But once you remember you're doing it and you already have it out there and it's for you, and let's say for your future self, your
Mhm.
it's like for your future self. For me, it was like kind of like my past self will be proud of it. Kind of
Yeah.
like put in that perspective. It's really important. And yeah, how you explained it was perfect. Like it just takes, it takes that mentality and having that knowing that it's for you and no not for anybody else is the most essential thing.
Exactly. If everybody else likes it, that's cool. But like just knowing that you did that for yourself and that you pushed yourself, so
Hmm.
important. So important.
And tell me this: we've talked about your music production endeavor. How about YouTube? What what's like? Is it like, is it completely different, or is it like one hand in hand?
It's kind of hand in hand, but man, YouTube is such a whole beast, man. Like the whole process of getting monetized is draining. Like you have to first get your 1,000 subscribers and getting your first 100 is difficult. Like, oh my gosh, like it's crazy. It's so like I'm really underestimating. Like I underestimated how crazy and taxing it would be to even get my first 100 subscribers. You're like, I know 100 people, they should all subscribe, and in reality, it just doesn't happen. And like,
Hmm.
and at first, I would take it personally. I'm like, I know these people saw my story, but they didn't subscribe, they didn't
Yeah.
tap in. But you just have to charge it to the game and keep it pushing. And honestly, I've just you just have to find your niche with YouTube. Like it's really intense. Like to try
Hmm.
and you see these accounts that have 1 million subscribers, 500,000 subscribers, and you have 15, and you're like, damn, how am I get there? But you have to just keep experimenting on your channel. Like my
Hmm.
channel didn't start to grow. Like if you look at my videos right now, you'll see like the first 5 or 6 videos were straight up songs, and I
Yeah.
realized I looked at my stats and I'm like, I'm only having 30 watch hours. So I didn't experiment. I was
Hmm.
like, I'm going to do a breakdown of one of these beats that I made. And even though it might not get as many views, I'm going to see if I can get the same amount of watch hours for this video as I can for the last 3 videos. And when I did it,
Yeah.
I got like less views, like almost half the views that I usually get, but I had more
Hmm.
watch hours. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this again. So I did another tutorial, and that was the one that really started to have my channel blow up. I went from like um 80 subscribers to 200 subscribers, and ever since I found out that was the formula, I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep dropping tutorials because that's what completely grew my channel. So YouTube is a whole bunch of experimenting. It's a whole bunch of commenting under other people's videos to try and get the traction to your videos. It's
Yeah.
a lot. It's a whole nother beast, but it's for me, it's definitely helping with my music because I feel like if people look at my YouTube channel and they see that I'm putting out tutorials on how to make music, well, if she's putting out tutorials, she got to know how to make music. Okay, let me check out her beat store. Let me see what's going on there. So
Nice.
it goes hand in hand.
Nice. I honestly, I was thinking like maybe it's like one or the other, but I like how you put it. I like how you put it, like it's hand in hand. And I agree. YouTube is huge. It's a beast. It's a beast. And it's I'm just like happy that you're growing so much. Like
Thank you.
it takes guts, and it takes like the work, and you're putting it. And I how I said, like I watched the videos and I'm just like, damn, like that's like good, and it's the time
Thank
putting
you.
it in. So I guess I understand your formula, and I agree. And it's hard to like navigate something so new, but
Hmm.
I think you're doing like your formula. I think that's like a really good formula to like anybody that's starting. It's just like find your niche, find what like gets attention, because the numbers are there. It's just
Right.
you being smart and okay. So this is what people liked about this video, and
Exactly. Like having to do that analysis is very intentional. Watching
mhm,
other people's stuff, like I still like I know how to make music now. I
yeah,
can You can always get better. So I always still watch my favorite YouTubers that make music. Like I watch their tutorials. I see what I can do better. I'm seeing what works for them. Always have to know that you have the ability to learn and that you have to
mhm,
look and see at the different angles what's working for somebody and what's not working for them, what's working for me, what's not working for me.
yeah,
Very important to be looking out for what's going on your YouTube because you have to always be able to change and adjust.
yeah. And I don't know if you've followed YouTube like through the years, but YouTube has a tendency of like changing, and it's crazy, that algorithm that we all talk about.
The damn algorithm. Oh my gosh. Trying to figure it out. And the thing is if you want you have to I watch videos on the YouTube algorithm. I'm trying to
Yeah.
understand the algorithm so I can find my place in the algorithm. So I think for people that want to do music production or any type of anything on YouTube, like do your
Yeah.
research. Just know what you're going into. I had a small idea of what I was going into, but once you're in it, it's just something different. So always just do your research on how you can grow your channel, how you can grow your
Mhm.
fan base, how you can do grow stuff because while people go viral on accident,
Yeah.
not it doesn't happen as frequently as you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and actually having a control over it, like you have been doing, and I feel that you have a good understanding. I think that pushes more than just like a viral video. You know, it pushes you because you have control over what you're doing. So you're it's not one of those like one hit wonders or like that lucky
Exactly.
time.
You don't want
So
to fall into that one hit wonder thing. That's why you have to be consistent in your content,
mhm.
what you're putting out. Yeah, it's a lot. Like that's why I'm saying you have to do the research because, like I said, you might just get viral off of one video, but if you want longevity, you have to know what you're doing.
Yeah. And I feel nowadays it's just like we we fantasize so much on that, like, oh, I'm gonna get viral, instead of like, you know what, I wanna be known because I do this more than just that viral video. So I love your YouTube perspective of it. I'm gonna follow it.
Thank
I
you.
I Oh, so I posted like the first video on today in the morning. I like scheduled it to be like
Nice.
8 a.m. but
Yeah.
like LA time. So it's like out there. I haven't even seen it like,
Mm,
but I'm gonna follow your recipe, comment. I didn't even think about commenting. Like I'm gonna
yes.
do that more. Um
Yes.
promote it as much as I can. Has it been hard promoting your channel?
Yes, it's hard promoting my channel. And it's hard because I can see who is watching my stories. And I'm like, And the thing about YouTube, you can see where your traffic source is coming from. I
Yeah.
be promoting my stuff on Instagram. I barely get any traffic source from Instagram. It's crazy. So promoting is hard just because you have to take your ego out of it. You have to be
Yeah.
like, you know what? It is what it is. Like, how many times do you click past somebody's story? They're promoting their stuff and you don't click it. I would
Mm.
say now that I have a YouTube, when people are promoting their stuff, I definitely participate more. I watch their stuff when they're promoting it, especially if they're friends of mine. It gives you a different perspective. But promoting your stuff on YouTube and on Twitter and Facebook, it's very important. But you'll find once you start having more videos out and once you find your niche that you have to do more of your promotion on YouTube itself. You have to be able to comment under people's videos. Like that helps. Like
Yeah.
commenting other people's videos, like something funny that might bring them to your channel or something like that. That's very important. You just have to watch these YouTube videos on how to grow on YouTube because they give you so many gems. And I did that. I need to watch. I haven't watched one in a while, and I want to do that because I want to take my channel to the next level. But it's a beast, man. I'm gonna keep saying it.
I mean, but you're close to the 1,000. Once the 1,000 hits, I feel that milestone is gonna like push you to the next level.
It's gonna feel so good. I can't wait. I know it's happening. I need it to happen sooner.
It's all in the process.
Right. Trust the process.
uh, so let me ask you this last thing. How much have you heard of like take in the process or appreciate the process? Like what do you think about that?
I think it's very important to always just take a step backward from whatever you're doing and just like be like, okay, I'm in this moment. Like I do that very often, like even before like YouTube. I mean, I remember when I went to Brazil and I was in Brazil, it was for a study abroad. You just sometimes I just be taking a step back and looking like, wow, like I'm here. Like that's crazy. Like sometimes you're so caught up in the moment, you don't just like breathe and be like, wow. So do that with your process too, because it's going to be funny. Like I have a very high self-belief in myself just because I feel like if you don't believe in yourself, yes, other people can believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you have to definitely believe in yourself and your own potential.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just looking around sometimes like, I know this isn't going to always be my reality. I know that I can definitely be better and grow and be better. And it's just going to be so funny to look back at where I was right now in this moment and then
Mm-hmm.
compare it to how I am down the line, like later this year or later next year. Like appreciating the process is so important because it just makes for a better story, man.
So sorry. So I froze. So my camera like
Oh.
kind of died. But look. It was perfect timing. It let you talk as much as you wanted.
Yeah.
So what? Why don't you leave us your handles, your YouTube? Promote yourself.
Yes. So on YouTube, my YouTube name is OG Chizzy, Chizzy Beats. OG Chizzy Beats. That is my YouTube. You can follow me on my personal Instagram at that Nigerian_girl. I don't even know my producer Instagram, but you can it's on my regular YouTube. So go ahead, follow me, subscribe, like, comment, see what's going on. That's it.
Don't worry. I'll put everything under your like on your
Right.
image. Yeah,
Right.
under there. I'll put it. Don't worry.
That's what all the YouTubers
Well,
do. It's gonna be right here.
all right. Well, thank you so much for being part of the In the Process podcast.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Roman. I'm so happy to be here. And I can't wait to see this podcast blow up.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the knowledge you brought. I had no idea of music production, how it was, the process of it, and I love everything about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. But thank you. First of many podcasts for you. I'm so excited for this podcast.
No, thank you for coming and thank you for, collaborating.
For sure. Collab. It's important. Now let me go eat because that's important too.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. And until the next time.
Bye.